Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. And with Richard Hitchins, he's done nothing but find a way to win. Yet it seems that he's getting the same kind of dislike, the same kind of hate, the same kind of unfair treatment as Devin Haney. And I'm just trying to understand why. Because even if a person didn't think highly of Richardson Hitchins up to the Liam Parle fight should have changed opinions about him. Because I'm going to tell you, he was able to make the adjustments necessary to really start to recover in that fight and to win. I think it was like after round 4. To me, he won every round. He showed me that there's a reason why he was a decorated amateur. There's a reason why he's a fast-rising professional fighter, and there's a reason why he became the newly crowned champion. But I don't understand why people dislike him. If you think he's boring, okay, people said about Devin. I heard somebody say they think he's a weight bully. I don't know where that came from. The man fighting at 140. Now, does he look big? Yeah, he's a tall guy, but he's slim. So what do you want them to do? If they can get down to the weight and they can make it for a moment in time and then they balloon up to whatever they balloon up to, what's the issue? Okay, and with him, I think he can only balloon up 10 pounds, something like that. But when I watch Devin Haney, I don't understand why people don't like Devin Haney. I have a good understanding of how a person can find themselves being annoyed with Devin and his father. I totally understand that. But when you start looking at Devin and his ability, his in-ring ability, I don't get it. Devin Haney can fight. Devin Haney can fight. It doesn't matter if he has all the advantages in the world over somebody. Skill-wise, it shows up in the ring. Because you've seen guys who have a size advantage over someone, and skill-wise, the smaller guy has a skill, and the bigger guy gets embarrassed. A good example, and this is heavyweight I'm talking about, that we just watched like a year ago, was when Makhmudov went there with Ajit Caballel. Now you look at the difference in size there. Makhmudov is a tank. Caballel is more like a Hyundai. And the goddamn Hyundai ran circles around Makhmudov, beating them body work, head work, everything. Broke down the tank and left it there out of commission, got the knockout. Look at Manny Pacquiao, what he was able to do to fighters. Look at what Nick Ball is doing to fighters. Okay, so don't come out here and just say, because these guys are bigger. Nah, man, there's a certain skill set that comes with that, okay? That being said, Richardson, Hitchins, and Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is going to make that fight competitive. He's going to make that fight very competitive. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think Teofimo Lopez is ready for a guy like Hitchins. I don't think he beats him. And I get it. We know what Teofimo did at 135, right up to Lomachenko. Outstanding. He deserves to be lauded for what he did in that fight with Lomachenko. But post Lomachenko, there's nothing impressive about Teofimo Lopez. Nothing. And don't come down here talking about, oh, look what he did to Josh Taylor. You know what? He deserves credit because he did get the win. He had fun in there. But if we're going to sit here and say Crawford doesn't deserve the credit for beating Errol Spence because Errol Spence shouldn't have been at 147 anymore because of the car accident and because something didn't look right with him, then we got to come back and have that same energy when we're talking about a guy like Josh Taylor and Teofimo and the things that contributed to Teofimo getting the win. Now, Teofimo had a lot to do with him getting that win. Because believe you me, if Teofimo was slipping, Josh Taylor would have been putting the bing bings on him. But you can see that Josh Taylor was just a bit sluggish and a step behind where Josh Taylor normally performs. That was quite obvious, just like watching Errol Spence and Crawford. But you got to give credit to Teofimo for making Josh Taylor look like his ass was weight drained. It looked like his ass he should have moved up to 147. Teofimo forced that. Just like Crawford did the same thing to Spence. But I know there's a lot of people talking about snack and everything else. But irregardless, I have a tough time giving Teofimo a whole lot of credit for that Josh Taylor win, because I know what Josh Taylor was capable of doing. And, hey, guys get old. But now you come out here and you talk about Teofimo trying to make arrangements for his next duel against Hitchins. I just think although he's 21-1 and 13 KOs, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to lift that crown off of Richardson Hitchins, man. Now, Hitchins is 19-0 with 7 KOs, and this is what I want to highlight. 7 KOs out of 19 fights, right? That means Hitchins can box. He's not coming in there to knock you out. Now, if an opportunity presents itself, he'll take it. But Hitchison isn't Jermaine Ortiz. But there is some Jermaine Ortiz-like qualities there. And you saw what Jermaine Ortiz did to Teofimo Lopez. Same thing that Devin has been able to do to fighters. There's some similarities there when you have, no kidding, raw, uncut boxers. They will get in there, Shakur Stevenson as well. They use their hands to fight and they use their legs to move. It's a coordinated effort, man. And maybe that's why some people, when they talk about Richardson Hitchins, they're like, him against Teofimo is going to be a horrible fight. I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think he frustrates Teofimo and he embarrasses him. And I think he wins a decision. Like, look, there's no one out here. Richardson Hitchins is a very clever, smooth boxer in his purest form, man. He's a better boxer. And I'm not just going off the power fight. I want to be fair to Devin Haney. Because when I think of those guys who are like, no kidding, just straight up boxers, right? You got Devin, you got Shakur, you got Richardson Hitchins. Like when they get in the ring, you know they're coming to box and move. Dimitri Bivol is another one, but he's more like boxer puncher. He can crack. Who else is really boxing like that? And I'm not talking about boxer puncher. I'm talking about boxers that's just looking more than likely to go the distance. You know, Jermaine Ortiz, but I wouldn't throw him in there with those guys. But he can fight too. But the long story short, I think all the advantages go to Hitchins. And not only because of his being able to box, it's because with Teofimo Lopez, something going on with him in Top Rank. And it seems to be nasty. And that separation that he wants, it just seems to be getting worse and worse. So when you have all those things on your mind, it's not good, man. You know what I'm saying? Then you see Teofimo Lopez out here busting up his wife on social media posts and being disrespectful towards her. Let me tell you something. That's not good. So he's got the issues with Top Rank, issues with his personal life, then the race baiting tactics that has made his persona very unpopular. To go in there with a guy like Richardson Hitchins, who's coming off of a high, has his face painted on walls in Brooklyn, this man right here is feeling good. It's going to be hard to knock him off of his high horse. And I don't think Teofimo is going to be able to do it, even with Eddie Reynoso helping him out. But anyway, the pressure is on Teofimo Lopez's shoulders, not Richardson Hitchins. And when people are trying to draw the comparison, Hitchins and Teofimo saying it's going to be like Devin against Ryan, I don't understand how anyone can draw that comparison. And look, I'm trying to be fair. Speed-wise, maybe Teofimo have more speed than Richardson Hitchins. I don't think so. Did Ryan have more speed than Devin? Yes. So that's not even, you can't even compare the two. Power. Does Teofimo have more power than Richardson Hitchins? I don't think so. We know what he had at 140, at 135, but at 140 that shit hasn't showed up. Did Ryan have more power than Devin? Yes. Even without the Austrian, I think Ryan hits harder than Devin, right? So again, there's no comparison. Teofimo's not taller than Richardson Hitchins. Ryan was taller than Devin. Reach-wise, I think Ryan may have had a little more reach than Devin. Teofimo's arms aren't as long as Richardson Hitchins, so there's no comparison. That's just people who just don't like Richardson Hitchins for whatever reason. And to be honest with you, when I'm looking at Devin, I'm looking at Richardson Hitchins. I don't know why. I don't know why people don't like him. I just don't. If it's because they don't know him, then that makes sense. When you don't know somebody, you tend to just favor the person you're more familiar with. But I would say brush up on him. Go and learn about this guy. Richardson can scrap. He's a good fighter, man. Don't just sit there and start saying a bunch of craziness because you don't know him. But anyway, one thing I will say is I think Devin Haney, even Teofimo and Ryan, when compared to Richardson and Hitchins, they're more experienced at fighting at a high level. Richardson and Hitchins is still, in my opinion, a bit wet behind the ears there, a bit green in that area. But he's getting his experience now. That fight against Paro, that win, that was a huge win, especially seeing what Paro just did to Suber and Matias. But even though he's still a little bit green, I just don't think Lopez is going to has the kind of IQ and the kind of experience that's going to give too many problems to Richardson and Hitchins. I think with Lopez, I think when you get to the level like what he had reached in boxing, I think some guys are they're like, okay, cool. The lights and cameras were cool. The media obligations were cool. Being a superstar is cool. And they don't let that go to their head. They're like, but at the end of the day, I got to focus on the task at hand. Teofimo has seemed to let all the media obligations and the lights and camera and the red carpet treatment, he's let that go to his head. So now he's no longer, in my opinion, focused on the task at hand. He's more focused on trying to convince everyone that he's a superstar instead of just sitting here and proving to us in the ring that he's a superstar boxer. That could be why Teofimo Lopez is in the position he's in right now. Thinking he's more than what he is and turning down all the fights that Top Rank has offered him. But one thing I'll tell you is Hitchins has worked his way to this point as a champion himself. And when you just look at the skill that he brings, I'm telling you, it's the skill that he brings, man. I just think he's going to continue to crest, and it could be the perfect time for him to get another big name on his resume, like Teofimo Lopez. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, Richardson, Hitchins, Devin Haney, both have been in pivotal fights. Devin's pivotal fight was Lomachenko. He was able to get through that fight, but a lot of people feel like he lost. Even I thought he lost until I rewatched it. He didn't lose that fight. But it's so subjective. But to me, he didn't lose the fight. I broke the fight down minute by minute, and Devin won that fight pretty comfortably, in my opinion. Now, Richardson Hitchins, I don't think he's going to have that problem with Teofimo. I think he jabs him, he frustrates him, and Teofimo is going to be all over the place. The only way Teo has a chance, in my opinion, is if Eddie Reynoso can show him something that his father wasn't able to bring out of him, like when he was fighting Jermaine Ortiz, and Teofimo just got frustrated because he couldn't cut the ring off, he couldn't catch up to him, he couldn't do anything. So he can say the guy ran the whole fight. I personally thought Jermaine Ortiz won the fight, but I can understand, the cross-examination saying, well, Ortiz did more running than fighting. I can understand that. But again, if he runs into Richardson Hitchins, he's going to have to deal with something similar. Maybe Eddie Reynoso can help him with dealing with a boxer, someone who moves, because Canelo is pretty good, really good now at cutting that ring off and knowing when to throw his hook to control your movement. He knows just what shots to throw to keep you from escaping. And maybe Eddie Reynoso can help Teofimo there. But other than that, I think Richardson Hitchins is going to get his big win. He's going to hold on to his belt. And this is the name he's going to put on his record that's going to bubble him up as being one of the elite in boxing, the same way for Devin Haney to kind of get that stamp of approval after he clipped Lomachenko. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Stop sitting there hating on Richardson Hitchins, man. Richardson Hitchins is the truth. He can fight. I've saw some of his interviews where he's talking, and again, I'm not a young boy, but I was young once, and I know how it is when you're young. He can talk a lot of slackness, a lot of inappropriate language. You don't really care what anyone thinks about you. And today, with social media and everything else, these young kids' mouths are horrible. So that's the only thing about Richardson Hitchins that I would say, like, he need to tighten up. These young kids, in my opinion, need to think really about their brand and whatever brand they're representing, whether it's Matchroom, Top Rank, Turkey Yellow Chic, whatever it is. Because it's just, you can still get your point across without so much of the racial epithets and all that ranting and raving and being so disrespectful. You know, you can be a tough guy. You can get your point across. There's so many other words these guys can use. But that's the only thing about Richardson Hitchins, and even like Devin Haney. All these young guys out here, man. Like most of them, they don't think about what comes out their mouth. They just say crap, and that's the only thing. But outside of that, Richardson Hitchins, man, if he could keep his head on his shoulders straight, that dude's gonna be a problem for a while, especially at 140. He can box, he can move, he got IQ, he got everything. And for those of y'all who are hating on him, look, you don't become a standout amateur if there's not something special about you. You know, Bivol, Bertabia, Hitchins, you know, the Mayweathers, the Judas, the damn Ryan Garcias, the Devins, you know, all these guys who are bubbling at an elite level or have bubbled at an elite level, man. Sugar Ray Leonard's and all. There's something special about him. Like, you just don't get there unless you can fight. Andy Cruz right now, Shakir Stevenson. Like, give these guys the credit they deserve. Anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.